Welcome to the channel, my first real video. Got a car in here for a clutch change. The dual mouth flywheel is noisy, and also the turbocharger has been leaking significant amount of oil through the inlet manifold, uh, making quite a mess under the bonnet. So let me show you what we got. I'm not going to bore you with when the details of taking the engine out, so that's already out. The flywheel over here, there's the old one, and we have a Sachs clutch, not just a flywheel and a three-piece clutch, but also a leverage arm as well. So you've got a full, so the rest of the stuff's in here, new bolts as well. So you've got a full 5-piece clutch here. So if any kind of issues with the actual disengagement with the bearing, that will all get fixed. I will then, we'll get the flywheel out and I'll show you a comparison with the old one and what was wrong with the old one. So that's the flywheel side. If you do one of these clutches, make sure you clean the reluctor wheel here, because over on this side here, right in front of you, you've got the crank sensor. So if any kind of dirt on that, it won't work properly, or you get a false reading, or it might run a bit rough. So give that a good clean everything else around here, any kind of dust from the old clutch. Right here we have the turbocharger. So I've already taken this apart. So it's a Garrett turbo. There's a part number on there. Using this part number, I managed to get a brand new cartridge. So the new cartridge will go in. So there's your compressor side, and there's your exhaust side. There's the old turbocharger. As you can see, there's, well, I've wiped most of it away now, making a mess, but you can see that the oil had leaked through. That's the new cartridge. Here is the clutch assembly, the clutch kit. So you got your new dual mass flywheel. You got your lever, the clutch release bearing, the new bearing itself. It's quite interesting that you got the actual release bearing here has tolerance built in, so any kind of tolerance in the drivetrain, this will really level out by itself. I've never seen that before. The new clutch plate and the new pressure plate. As I said, there is also new flywheel bolts as well. So what I'm going to do, I will put the flywheel on and I'll show you the movement in the new one and the lack of movement in the old one. We've bolted on the new flywheel, and as you can see in the new flywheel, you've got a certain amount of movement. So those are the springs inside the mechanism, which hence make it a dual mass flywheel, to take out the vibrations between gear changes and also running. Right, we go to the old one. You can see that there is very little movement. See if I know this is on the floor, but if we can't move it. Over here, the new one, there's a bit of pressure and you've got that small amount of movement, and you can feel the springs being compressed. Flywheel has now been torqued. It was 120 Newton meters with the new bolts we've already shown. Next stage in this would be to insert the clutch plate. Please note, these do have a marking on here. Normally they say to flywheel side, but on this one it says to gearbox side. Make sure you clean both mating surfaces for the clutch plate. There's normally a small film, a very thin film of oil to prevent rust. So this side is gearbox side. We'll place that there. And with the pressure plate, so you've got the dowels and corresponding holes in there. I think these ones here. So if we offer this up, yeah, that is now in place. Replace the Allen key bolts. and then when you start tightening these down, tighten them crossways as you would with a road wheel. So let's say from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so you get even pressure. As you can see, I haven't fully tightened these. I still want a bit of movement in the clutch plate so we can align it with the middle. So I'll align that by eye. Now, it's not ideal, but I don't have a tool, but eye alignment has always worked for me the last 35 years, so I'll do that, and then I'll tighten these up to spec, and I'll show you the alignment of the flywheel, the clutch plate with the bearing inside the Dumas flywheel. Clutch plate's lined up. Not sure how good you can see that, but I've managed to line the gears in the clutch plate to a reference point within the flywheel. So hopefully when we put the engine back in, it'll go straight in. Now just torque up the small hex bolt to the flywheel, and that is this part of the clutch fitted. Here we got the turbo. So we're going to put a new cartridge in because the seal's gone and it was blowing oil. In the old days of wastegates, this doesn't really have a wastegate per se. These have these small vanes. So I'll show you when I'm putting this together on the floor, but there's the new cartridge. Now the lever in the cartridge, which locks into this bit here, this little hole pin here, if you spin that, you can see those little fins open up, and go the other way, they close. I know these have come out, but don't worry, I'll put all this back together properly. So you can see that is how the wastegate sort of function works. So when it closes, the exhaust gas goes through there and outside, but it misses the actual turbine. But when this obviously opens, the exhaust gases come onto the turbine, which allows it to spin, so I can compress air. So I'm going to do this on the floor. My camera might get blown over by the wind, so let's start putting this back together. I put all the vane levers back in their respective places, so that's all there. The washer's back in place, holding it down firmly. Here is the new cartridge. You can see that. Here's the new cartridge. So we've got this lever here. Down focus, this lever here, and the inside. That will sit in this part here. You can see that little indent and that pin there. So you've got a corresponding hole here for the pin to lock in. So we'll get that lined up, drop it in, and put the bolts back in. Okay, so I want to check that. I mean, I'll put that back in a minute. So I want to check in here that the veins are working. You can't see it on camera, but deep in there, when you turn the lever, I can see the veins moving. So yeah, that seems to have gone back together. Okay, so next stage is the compression side. I'll tighten these first, obviously, before I carry on, but next stage is the compression side. Exhaust side is all done. They've all been torqued up. I've checked the levers inside. Not sure you can hear that. They're moving okay. So these are all tightened. Now we've got the compression, high compression side of the turbo to assemble. So there's no levers on this side. There's no pins or anything else which you can line up to. So I suggest is trying to sort of get this kind of orientation where it is, where it was, and then get these bolts sort of lightly finger tight. Get it on the side of the engine. Line up these. There's a plate at the back for these for the actual mounting assembly. Get that lined up, and then we can just take it off and then torque these down properly. So let's crack on with that then. So that's roughly where it will sit. There you can see there's the movement, which we need to make sure that's in the proper location. So let's turn this over, start threading these bolts in. I'll transfer it over to the engine, sorry, and we'll do this, line this up. Okay, slight correction. The alignment, it won't be on the vehicle. You can see the actuator here for the wastegate. See that there. As you, hang on, let's put this down 1 second. Okay, so there's the actuator. As you see in its current position, it's in full lock downwards. Now when that powers up, or when that needs to operate, it'll come back this way. It'll come back up. Now if we swing this around, we swing this like that, that's in full lock. If you do it this way, then it's full lock here, so the actuator won't go any further back. So if we swing it back this way, so to here, and this is in its forward position, now that's the maximum that this lever, this actuator, can bring it back when required. So this is the position. I'm going to 8mm spanner, and I'm going to lock all these up. That is pretty much the cartridge changed. Right, here's the final assembled turbocharger. The only thing missing was I didn't show, was about the circlip back in, so that keeps the arm there, the wastegate arm, the actuator arm in place. So you can see from there, you can see the new compressor side. No noise, no binding, so that's all fine. All the screws have been tightened. And then on the exhaust side, there, again, perfectly seated in. There's a small wash on the inside of the cartridge, which sits flush against this cast iron exhaust side. So once that locks in, so it prevents any kind of, well, hopefully it prevents soot going into the other side of the turbocharger. So again, nice and free, no noise. That's ready to be installed back in the car, and then you do back in the vehicle. By the way, this is the car we're talking about. It's a 2005 BMW E87 118D. Once all this work's done, it will be put up for sale.